It's time for 5-Minute Advice for Authors, brought to you by Twin Flame Studios.
Hi, my name is Brittany Hodak. I'm a customer experience speaker and author of Creating Superfans: How to Turn Your Customers into Lifelong Advocates. So the most important thing for readers to learn from my book, Creating Superfans, is that we're living in an experience economy now. All of the rules have changed. It's no longer just about your product or your service. It's about the experience someone has when they work with you. How do your customers feel? Why should they choose you at the exclusion of all of your competitors? If you want to go from a commodity provider in the minds of your prospects and maybe even your customers to a category of one, being good is not going to cut it anymore. You've got to be super. And in my book, I share a 5-part formula that anybody can use to take a potential customer from apathy to advocacy. So I've got 2 really important pieces of advice for authors and aspiring authors. The first is to make sure that your book has a North Star. Why are you writing this book? Who are you writing it to? And what do they need to learn? Those questions should guide every decision that you make. When I was writing Creating Superfans, I wrote about 110,000 words, and I loved all of them. I loved the stories, I loved the chapters, but as I was going through editing, so many of the things that I love had to come out because they didn't ultimately serve the reader. And while they were cool, like I wish I could have included the story about setting a Guinness World Record or like working with Dolly Parton, like things that just, I wanted to share because they were cool. They didn't serve the ultimate reader, so they had to come out. So make sure that before you start, you have a North Star for your book. Why are you writing it? What is the message? Who needs to hear it? And what do you want them to do as a result of hearing that message? Let that guide you. And then the second really important piece of advice I would say is have your distribution in mind. Like I knew with this book, I needed to do whatever it took to get it into a lot of people's, AirPods or their hands or their screens. I wanted people to find it. So it was important to find partners that were going to help be at the level to have real distribution to where people could find it and really enjoy it and make it a part of their lives, because it doesn't matter how amazing your book is if nobody reads it and nobody hears it. So make sure that you think about the distribution beyond yourself. Don't just think like, oh, I'm going to write it and they will come. It doesn't work that way. So make sure you know what your plan is to get the brilliant book that you're working on into the hands of the people who need to hear your message. So I wasn't sure how I was going to enjoy the process of recording my audiobook. Even though I speak for a living, I was really intimidated to record the audiobook. I even asked my publisher if I had to do it myself, and they said, you really should. There's so many personal stories. And honestly, I hate the sound of my voice. Like I was really late to the game starting a podcast. I didn't want to do the audiobook. And it ended up being such a great experience. And I had an amazing producer. So Steven at Twin Flames was just wonderful to work with. He coached me through absolutely everything. And he really helped make it fun. And I won't say it was easy because it wasn't. I think we spent probably like 15 or 16 hours together recording what became a 6-hour audiobook. But I'm so glad that I did it. I think I totally underestimated the amount of people who listen to audiobooks, because I don't listen to a ton of audiobooks. I'm more of a reader. And so I just thought like, oh, maybe, a few hundred people will listen to it. But it's been thousands and thousands of people who've got the book on Audible and have reached out to me and said, I loved listening to your book. I loved having you in the car with me on my way to work, or I loved having you work out with me at the gym. And it's just been so cool. So I think my favorite part is that I pushed through and made myself do it, even though it was really scary to me. And then having people tell me that they enjoyed it so much and that they go back and listen to it again. I've had people say like, oh, I've listened to this one chapter 12 times, or this was my most listened to audiobook of the year. And all that feedback is just really, really, really cool. So if you're on the fence about doing an audiobook or narrating your own audiobook, I encourage you to do it, because I'm here to tell you that the results could be even cooler than you imagine.
Thanks for joining us on 5-Minute Advice for Authors. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe for more, and visit us at twinflamestudios.com.